In this documentary, I'll be talking about the views of our generation. Our generation tend to view things in a different light than others, such as people who lived 30 years ago. This documentary is expository, and it will show the comparison between the views of our generation and generations before and after us.
I'm worried after uni because everybody's always saying how hard it is for like people our age to get jobs after uni.
Yeah, and university is meant to be a lot different to college, like coursework wise.
The research found that 538,000 young people aged 16 to 24 were unemployed in November 2017 to January 2018. And the fact that our youth and our generation can identify it, it means that we have similarities between our generation's views.
Yes, I think it's very important that women get more involved in science so that it provides like a stronger female role for younger kids to look up to.
I feel like there's a lot of pressure on teenagers as well to like sort out their future early when they don't need to. I think technology is still useful. Like, I don't really agree with when people are saying that it doesn't really help us out, and I feel like if it carries on developing in the way it is as well, it could get really out of hand.
I think technology is a good thing. Like, it's made advances in science, medicine. It's made like technology's. I think there's good and bad aspects because it's made advances in like medicine and science, but at the same time, I think it's going maybe a bit overboard. Like, people aren't talking as much as we used to. The only way you know what people are really doing is through what their social media says. I think like because of how many people do show physical aspects of a movement and how high they are in like society, that people just follow it and they just do it just because like they don't even know what they're representing, they don't know what they're supporting or anything.
I feel like for people that aren't really understanding of it as well, it can make them feel like they're doing something wrong by not like showing like physical support for something, even when they're just not a part of it.
Yeah.
They're not against it, but they're not a part of it.
I'm from Pakistan, so my family's Asian. So say if I went around my friend's house and they were white, like they would go into the kitchen. This is being complete stereotype, but most of them would go into the kitchen, put their dinner in and like go up to their room and just eat in their room. And I thought it was so weird. But then say at home, like nowadays, because I'm older, I don't really eat with my family because I'm hungry all the time, so I'll just eat whenever. But I would go home and there wouldn't be like a meal prepared, but we'd make our own food and then we'd sit at the table rather than just going off and doing our own thing. That was like when I was really young, so I couldn't really do anything by myself, but nowadays we're a lot more separate.
I think my childhood was very creative. Like, I spent a lot of it with my brother, like doing imaginary games and stuff. Like, there was no kind of what you see today where kids are like, I have an iPad, I'm going to play on it all day. It was none of that. It was very like imaginary games, making up characters and stuff.
Mine was practically the opposite because I was just playing, on my Game Boy and all that. Yeah, the Game Boy, and then it went to like the PlayStation 2, and then me and my brother like split off. He went PlayStation and I went to the Xbox, and it stayed like that since.
I never had one of my own. My brother's always got stuff like that, but I do remember Game Boys because my brother was really excited. He was like, mine's blue, mine's green, and that was all I remember. I got my first phone really late. I think I was like right at the end of year 6 and everyone else had got theirs before then, but it was like my mum's really old pink one that you flipped up, had a little duck keychain. It was a good time.
I remember when I got my first phone, it was a BlackBerry. No, it wasn't actually. Everyone had BlackBerries when I got my first phone. And I got like a little £10 one from Tesco. And that must have been in year 5.
Okay, I feel like technology is good to the extent where it's necessary. So like everyone needs a good phone, everyone does need a phone. But then there's things like Apple Watches really get on my nerves. Like, what is the need? You have a phone like right there, you don't need to. That's stupid to me.
I feel like the rise of technology, specifically in the phone market, is... People like to make it sound like it's a really bad thing, but the truth is it's possibly the best thing ever to happen.
It's impressive, like how far it's come, but yeah, I feel like it can get unnecessary.
Yeah, people like to say it's a massive time sink for people and it's encouraging procrastination, but realistically, we wouldn't be able to communicate with people literally on the other side of the world if it wasn't for the advancements in technology.
I can see why adults get upset about kids spending so much time on their phones because that's not how they had it. So like, as someone older, they're like, I know better because I live differently. So I don't want you to go down a wrong path. I want you to live well. So like, it makes sense from their perspective. But I feel like they just assume that everyone's doing either stuff they shouldn't do, stuff that's just not important or whatever. Which is kind of true, but not all the time.
I feel like it's a relevant argument, but although people usually shun it for being so easy to procrastinate with, I feel like people also use them to revise at the same time.
In conclusion, we have found that the views of our generation both have similarities and differences between that of others. We have also realised that the views of our generation are mostly similar. We have also identified that people have different opinions, not based on their gender or their age, but based on their upbringing, such as games consoles, and if their parents could afford them while they were young.